Hello, so welcome to this session where we'll be looking at how to create resources and assign resources to our existing work breakdown structure. Alright, you can see the list of activities here, you have the durations and the start and the finish date for the project. Right now we're just going to look at how we can create resources using the resource sheet and how we can assign these resources we create to all the activities we can see here. We can see tax 1 all the way to tax 7 with all the milestones. Alright, now the first thing you want to do is you want to go to resource, or you go to the view tab. Where we are actually going to is the resource sheet. Okay, so when I click on the resource sheet, I can see a blank sheet with no resources at the moment, but I'm just going to create about 4 to 5 resources. The first one being the project manager, which I'm just going to put as the PM. I'm going to say the business analyst as well. I'm going to use the tester. I would say I need some laptops, and I need some cost and transportation from a particular place to another. I'm just going to call that transport. And yeah, basically those are the 5 resources I'm going to specify at this moment. And the type of resources would also differ. Now for work resources, those are human resources on the project that will be working on those activities which we are going to assign them to. Now we've got PM, BA and the testers. These are the work resources, but for laptops will be considered as a material resource. All right, so I need to change that to material resource. Note that something changed around here. Now we don't have the 100% max availability. Okay, we don't have a calendar particularly for that. This is the kind of calendar. Now for transport, that's going to be a one-off cost, and I'm just going to change that to a cost resource. Now you'd also notice that all this is inactive. All I have is this prorated. All right, so I'm going to show us how we can assign these resources, but before we do that, I just want us to group these resources. So I can do groupings by department. So I'm going to say the PM is from the project department, or I could call it operations. So just let me use short form operations department. All these are from operations. Really, I'm just gonna put it that way, operations. And I'm gonna say this is from. I'm just gonna say I need this from the IT. I need this from. It most likely gonna be operations as well, but just let me denote it with field. Okay, I use operation one department. All right. Let me also mention what this means. This means availability, so they're going to be available 100%, which simply means obviously 8 hours in a day. All right, now we can change this when we assign them to activities to specify their availability. So the next thing you want to do really is to specify the standard rate for each of this work resource, or specify the cost by use for material resource. You also want to specify the standard one-off cost for transportation, but you're not able to do that here in the resource sheet. I'll show you how to do that when we assign this transport to a particular work activity. Okay, now I'm just going to assume some rates. So I'm going to assume the PM is going to earn 45 pounds per hour. If I want to use per day as well, I can change it and say 350, all right, per day, which that can also be used, but I'm just going to switch that. I'm just showing you that I can use daily rates as well, so I'm just going to switch this to 40 per hour, so roughly 320, working 8 hours if he's working 8 hours. Okay, and the tester I'm going to use 36 pound, and for the laptop I would rather use the cost per use. All right, so if I'm using 1, it gives me a cost. If I'm using 2, it multiplies it by 2. And I'm just gonna say I need the laptop will be 50 pounds. And for transportation, like I said, you cannot assign cost at this point. Also bear in mind that this calendar means the kind of calendar you're using. So if I drop down, you can see it can be 24 hours calendar, could be the night shift, or could be any other custom calendar that I've created before now. But I'll stick with the standard calendar, which simply means I'm working between 8 a.m. to 12. I've got a 1 hour break between 12 and 1, and I work another shift of 1 hour, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So 4 hours in the early hours and 4 hours later in the day. That's 8 hours in a day. And for standard calendar, it excludes Saturdays and Sundays. Very good, interesting. This is how you create your resources in the resource sheet. And from this point, we go back to our Gantt chart in our entry tables, and we can assign these resources. I'm going to show you two ways of assigning resources. Now, like I said, we go back to Gantt chart, and the first method is to use the resource name column. Okay, so this is a milestone. I won't be assigning resources. If at all I assign resource, I would want to specify maybe a PM. Okay, but because it is zero duration, so it's just like saying the rate of the PM times 0 is 0, so it's not going to be it's not going to cost anything, except I want to specify a particular cost. Let me show you that you can add another column called the cost column. So as you assign resources, you can see the cost. So like I said, the PM assigned to this milestone, because it's really not an activity, it's just an indication that something has started. All right, and therefore there's no activity, there's no work hours, and that's 0. Now this is a summary task. I'm not going to assign any resource to a summary task. I'll assign the resource person or resources to activities. So task 1, I'm just going to assume I need a PM, and I also need a BA. So this is one way to assign resources. As you can see, I've checked the PM and the BA. All right, now for activity 2, now see that the cost is changing now. Okay, so remember the rate we had for the PM to be £45 and for the BA to be £40. So Microsoft Project is looking at that rate per hour and now multiplied by 2 days. So you don't know that 2 days now, say it means we are working 16 hours in total. 2 days, 8 hours for each day. So 16 times for the 5 for the PM plus 16 times 40 for the BA sums up to give us £1,360 for just this activity. Now for activity 2, I'll show you using this same process, and I'll then go to the next process. So I assume I need a laptop and a tester, and that's what I need. So now I'm going to show you the second method of doing this. So I'll go to activity 3, go to my resource tab, click on assign resources. Now I can see this lovely dialog box come up. Let me put it somewhere here, and I can assign resources. I don't need to close this dialog box anymore until I finish assigning all my resources. All right, let me quickly jump back to task 2. Now if you see task 2, I've assigned a material resource, which is the laptop, and I've said I need just 1 unit of laptop. If I need 2 of it, all I need to do is change it to 2, and then the cost summation will change to 100 when it's calculated in here. So I'll go to task 3. So like I said, you don't need to close this dialog box, just keep changing the task you're assigning resources to. So I'll go to task 3, and I'll assign a PM. So once you click on the PM, say assign, and I'll assign transportation as well. So now this is where you can put the cost for transportation, the one-off cost. We couldn't do that on the resource sheet, but we can do that right here. So now I'm just going to say I need £100 for transportation just on this activity, which is done. I'll go to task 5, and then I assign randomly, really, tester, assign. I go to task 6, I assign a BA, and I go to task 7, and I assign a PM to that. Okay, and to this milestone I assign a PM as well, or I could assign all of them, really. Maybe it's a project closing meeting or something. So I assign, they are really not going to be having any cost because it's a 0 duration, like I said. So and that's it. That's basically the two ways of assigning resources and building up your cost. Now you will see we started with 0. Once I'm done with this, I can close this. We started with a 0 cost, and now look at what our project estimate is looking like. Okay, we are having close to £20,000 just to deliver this project right now. I mean, considering every other thing we're going to do, this might not be so detailed. All right, there might be some reserves which you have to put, contingency reserves, management reserves, and all that, but for now this is the budget. Okay, and yeah, that's basically how to create resources. You saw how we went through creating the list of resources in the resource sheet, and how we assign those resources to our activities on our Gantt chart. Now you can see, if I shrink this a bit, I can shrink this, but I need to see this overall cost, and just come here, go to the view tab, and I need to see the entire project. Okay, so I see everything and the resources assigned to them. Alright, I believe you've gotten something from this video. Thank you for watching. I'm just gonna save. Usually I like to save any new thing I do, really. And that's it for this video. See you in the next video. Thank you very much.